Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you here. It's already more than 30 people. Can you indicate in the chat if you hear me and if you see the presentation on screen? All right, seems to be working. That's great. Thank you very much to everybody who reacted. Yes, I see your answers. Thank you very much. All right, so I welcome again all the participants of the International Olympiad for the English Teachers, organized by High School of Economics in Perm. And this is Olga. It seems that this is the problem on your end. You need to check the if your volume is okay, and if it still doesn't work, maybe go offline and then go online again. So leave the conference and enter again. Maybe this will help. It's because most of the people can hear quite well, and except you says there's no sound. Today's webinar is mostly about reading, not reading tasks as they are, but more on the types of questions that you usually deal with while reading texts in a foreign language, or maybe not only in the foreign language. And the second part will be devoted to different kinds of mistakes that we deal with, again, in different forms, whether when correcting students' writing or when doing different kinds of tasks ourselves or with the students in different tests and competitions. Okay, so people are coming. So we start with reading, and what I want you to ask first, I'm trying to be as interactive as what types of questions do you usually encounter in reading, in different kinds of reading tasks? I will be looking at the chart here. All right, thank you, Maria, but this is the format of questions. Of course, multiple choice, gap filling, but I'm asking about what competence tested. Yeah, reading for gist. Right, let me put this here somewhere. For gist, yes. Oh, sorry. Gist, yeah. Detail, people say detail. Specific info, which is mostly the same as detail. All right, opinions. Okay, and attitudes, right. Main idea, yeah, main idea, idea or ideas, right. Okay, thank you, Olga and Maria, and yes, mostly Olga and Maria for your participation. Here we are. Your answers are on the board here. And oh dear, here's what we have here. These are like the main types of questions which are shown by different people who explain reading strategies. So comprehension question is a question which is aimed at understanding the meaning of the passage. Then we have detail, which is mentioned the main idea, well, there is no specific detail, but I think the detail covers that. And the following directions questions, a specific type, the sequence and inference questions, and I think opinions and attitudes are covered with that also. Well, I'm putting this away. So as I mentioned, comprehension questions are questions which are aimed at something, and it is usually something that you can point to in the passage. So you can underline that information in the passage directly. It is there. It is directly stated. Here's how we can recognize the questions. They usually start in this way, according to this paragraph, according to this passage, article, or book, etc. What do you think are the strategies kinds of questions? And I'm again awaiting some response in the chat. Hello? Anybody? Yeah, you first look through the questions options and then try to find proofs. Okay. Maria, how do you look for proofs in the text? What do you look for in the text? Yeah, so two strategies are already presented here. So one strategy, you look at the options, then you compare the options with the text. The other, you read the question, you find the information, then compare the found information with the text. Yeah, keywords, synonyms, right. Yes, search for the same ideas, but paraphrased. That's a very good thing, Maria, said by you. And so the common strategy is to look for the word or phrase or sentence that answers the question directly. So you see, it's the better strategy is, of course, to try to find the answer to the question in the text, and only then compare your answer with the options. If you have the options, the questions can be open. So some questions just paraphrase words in the text, so you need to find the paraphrased information. It comes to the same thing, that the answer can be found in the text, some exact words, a part of some word, a phrase, a part of a sentence, or a sentence. Let's eliminate two of them. Yeah, but well, yes, so Maria says that looking through options helps to save time. Yeah, of course, if you're pressed for time, you employ different strategies that help you. On the other hand, looking through options can distract you, because, of course, 75% of that information would be false. Okay, next type, yeah. Here there are strategies. Detail question. What kind of question is a detailed question? I'm asking you. You're experienced teachers. You encounter these kinds of questions all the time. Because, of course, both detailed questions and some others are present in all our textbooks and are used from the very start. Yeah. For example, specific, yeah, looking for specific information. Yes, thank you, Anna and Maria. Okay, yeah, so detailed question specifies some smaller chunks of information, smaller than the comprehension question, and the answer with some specific small items in the text. It can be a word in line 13, it can be a date, a name, a number, or something like that. Here are the kinds of detailed questions. So numbers, miles, hours of speed. What college did Alice attend? a specific name of the college, how old was Alice, the name, the number, her age, so that we know she's what, she's old. Something very, very specific in the text. Again, what would be the strategies? What strategies do you advise to? Yeah, skimming, you're looking through the text, probably, yes, looking for very specific words, very specific things. And here we are. The questions, scan the text, yes, yes. In this, with these kinds of questions, of course, you read the question, you understand what specifically you need to look for, and then you scan the text. Yes, scan the text. All right, so the strategies, you look for answers in the paragraph or passage, yes, for one or few words, for a date, some numbers, very specific items. Right. Following, this is not something you will usually find on a higher level test, of course. It can be present in, well, it's actually what we usually very often use in checking if our students understood our directions. This is, so this type of question is focused not on what information you need to find, but about how you. This question asks you to find something. Maria answered the question this way. Did Maria answer correctly? Did Maria follow directions? Something like that. Maybe such situation is described in the text and you are asked such kind of question, but the most usual way to use them is, of course, to check if the students understand correctly what they need to do. So you do not about the information, you worry about how it is written, how it is presented, what exactly you need to do. All right. Okay. Main idea questions. Well, no need to dwell too much on this because the main idea questions were present in the first round reading, and I commented on them quite a lot in the videos that commented on the answers. Question covers most what the passage is about. It can answer who, what, where, when, or why, or how something was happening. And it includes a topic and something specific about this topic. This paragraph is mostly about, this passage talks mainly about, story tells us as a whole about, etc., etc., etc. So the main idea, the idea that in the paragraph, passage, or text. Remind me, what are the strategies of working with this kind of questions in the reading, please? Sorry. Main idea questions. Yeah. Right. Skim the text. Yeah, we always skim the text. That's the first thing we do with any text, with any kind of question. We skim the text after reading. Yeah, that's a good idea, Maria. Thank you. Yeah, or if you do not have the possibility to do that, you jot down something, of course. Right, you could do it paragraph by paragraph. Right, if the text is a longer one or a more difficult one, it could be a good idea for each paragraph to summarize the topic. Yes, and then take main idea of the whole text from the sum of those. The whole understanding of the passage. Well, that's why I'm asking about strategies. What does it mean, the whole understanding of the passage? keywords. I'm not sure keywords can be maybe the repetition of words. So let's look at the strategies that are offered to us. So you look for one or summaries of the whole paragraph or passage. That's if you have the options under your. What do you mean about wrong ideas, Tatiana? That's interesting. The whole understanding the passage, wrong ideas. Do you mean you eliminate wrong ideas? Or do you mean that everything said before was wrong? Could you specify a little, please? While I can give. Okay, so well, yeah, if you have the options from which to choose, you of course can eliminate the sentences which are wrong. But if you've read,
не надо, пап, очень-очень пытаться. Чуть-чуть на ножках, чуть-чуть можно, чуть-чуть. Иди какай.
Okay, excuse me, could you turn off the microphone? Somebody is using the microphone. Right. Okay. I think that was accidental, of course. Yes, you look for the sentences, for the options, which are like mini summaries of the whole paragraph, if the question is about the paragraph, or about the whole passage. You need to make sure that your choice is not too narrow, that you do not choose only partial idea, that something that was said, but which is not, because sometimes one sentence or paragraph or passage can be like, well, very similar to the main idea, but it's not, because it doesn't cover all the possibilities. At the same time, your choice shouldn't be too broad, shouldn't include something which is not in the text. Right. Okay. Yeah. There's a approach to dealing with text. Just this type of questions on the main idea called start with simple stories. It is employed in English and American schools because we deal with main idea questions from the very beginning in school, not only in the English language, not only in foreign languages. And it gives you these strategies that you find mostly reasons or explanations, and the main idea will deal with the why. Find in the text only explanations and reasons. You can see that the text mostly talks about places, then the main idea is about the place, about where, etc. So time indicates the main idea concentrates on when. If you're shown steps to do something, it's a how, etc., etc., etc. That could be a useful. All right, here we have sequence questions. Sometimes you encounter these kinds of questions when you need to understand the sequence of events in the text, right? And with the sequence, specifically that. So this is how they can be presented. You may be asked to make a list of the events. You happened before, what happened after, etc. This is the example of something that is given to younger students probably, but I think you've seen such questions in a higher level tests too. The strategy, of course, would be the try to list the events in the order that they happened. That's the only thing that can help you identify the sequence. Right, and the last here in this lesson, which we will concentrate on for a a longer time and in more detail. So what is an inference question? What kind of question is that? Could people give their ideas about it, please? An inference question, what is it about? What can it be asking about? Making conclusions, right? Judgments or conclusions based on the info presented. All right. Sometimes about attitudes or opinions too. Thank you, Anna. Indirectly expressed. Yeah. So I encourage everybody to have their chat open because, our participants give some. Right. So indeed, an inference question is not based on the information or facts directly stated in the paragraphs in the text. Inferences are decisions, conclusions, or judgments, as Maria stated, that the reader makes from the information found in the text, in the paragraph or passage. The information works as a hint, and the inferred ideas are not stated directly or think about the answer. So it requires some thought, some deductions, conclusions, and what would be the strategy? So this is how these kind of questions can be presented. What you can tell, figure, guess, expect, what the writer implies, what you can assume, etc. What the author suggests, which is more likely to happen. Oh, you never with your interpretations. Well, I would argue, Maria, you do not need to go very far in your interpretations. That's actually the key. At least you don't need to go too far in your interpretations. And it's not very much about interpretations. It's always difficult to choose, right? Yeah, I agree. It is difficult to choose. To choose the correct option, yeah. Well, to be a high level, a high difficulty question, because it's not easy. Right. All right. So the strategies, actually what you have in the text should work as evidence for your inference in the reading passage. You need to base your conclusions, your judgments on what is said in the text, and only use the information that is given. You can't use something which is outside of the text. Let us look at the strategies. So again, I present you some start with simple sentences strategies. Can be a bit, can be helpful. You can look for limiting words that can help you to decide which group fits the answer. Is it about everybody, about all, about some people, about a few? You can also look for comparisons. If two things are compared in the passage, or maybe just one thing in the passage compared to something you already know or should know. You can look for logical results or endings of a chain of reasons of events. And if you understand this chain of events and reasons, you can predict the probable result, next result. You can look at pairs of concepts, relationship, like cause and effect, general and specific, time and place, and the best answer will be one part of the pair. And here you have an example. President Jordan is the first deaf president of Gallaudet University. You can generalize that deaf people can get good jobs now, for example. This is a specific fact, and you generalized your generalization matches the specific fact. More for that also. Of course, you need to carefully read the question and to understand what you are being asked. That's the first step always. The main idea of the whole paragraph should help a lot in this. So it's not enough to read only the question and start looking for information, because inference is based on all the information there. You, of course, process of elimination, because if the answer is incorrect, it goes outside of the information, outside of the passage, tries to get some information which is not in the passage. Yeah, you need, of course, use logical thinking. You need to pay attention to answers containing extreme language, like forever, never, totally, completely, extreme phrases, this is that, etc. Because very usually they are used as traps, as distractors. Also, as always at higher level, we pay attention to answers that only repeat the words from the passage, but don't answer the question. So it's again the same phrase that I repeat all the time to my students. If you see the exact keywords present in the options as and a distraction, the options will look appealing because they repeat something that you saw in the passage, but they are most times incorrect. All right, let's practice a little bit with this. Yeah, here we are. Here is a very, very short excerpt with very strange words. And you have an inference question. So all pterychnoderms are classified by biologists as members of the phylum Eridae, as opposed to members of the phylum Eridae. Pharactopods do not have tails that can be used for balance, stability, and navigation. So which of the following can be inferred from the passage? A, B, C, or D? Okay. So think a little bit, try to write the answer. And then I will comment. All right, Maria. Yeah, okay. So I see two answers. Can we have more? Two people agree. Is it also autocorrection? Okay, we have two answers D and two answers B. A little more, please, people. Dear participants, please participate. Right. Okay, B. So it's mostly B and D. I see B and I see D. All right, so let's add each option here. So option A, okay, one person chose option A actually, at least one person I see, which I see. Option A, let's simplify this idea a little bit. So we have one species, pterychnoderms. We say that they are in a group of Eridae. And we see another species, Factopods, and we are given the information that the difference between Factopods and Eridae class is that they do not have a specific tails used for specific purposes. Right. Okay. So we say that there is another species geckos in A, and that they have tails that they can be used with the same purpose for their members of the phylum Arida. But actually, there is no information about how we only know that Pterichnodems are members of this phylum Arida. We do not know what is the principle of putting any species into this phylum. That's why option A is not right. So in option B, because fructopods do not have tails, their balance and navigation abilities are less developed. We do not know about their these fructopods' abilities for balance and navigation. We know they do not have a tail that helps them to do that, but maybe they navigate and keep balance by have some other abilities. The text does not give us that information. So that is why B is not correct either. Option C, Pterichnodems were not always classified by biologists as members of the phylum Arida. Nobody chose option C absolutely correctly, because the passage does not give us any information whatsoever on the history of classification of this species. And finally, correct, because from the fact that fructopods do not have tails used for balance and stability and navigation, and this is exact feature differentiates them from Arida phylum, we can conclude that these species, Pterichnodems, have tails used for stabilizing and balancing. Absolutely right. You can, completely change the text. Yes, well, but it needs the text. This text is very short. It's easy to actually do this. This is what I've done. All T's, Pterichnodems, are Arida. P's, fructopods, are not like Arida because they have no tails used for specific purposes. It means that T's have tail. Arida and Arida are those species that have tails used for balance, stability, and navigation. So this is the logical sequence that can be employed here. By the way, all these strange names are invented. Such species do not exist at all. Okay, let's have a more like conventional thing. Yeah, I think the text is visible. I will try to shift this a little bit. Oh no. Right. So a different text, a bigger text. I was careless. All right, read the text, please. And again, we have an inference question here. Ulrika tells us that there is a, this is about logic, of course. Yeah. Right. Okay, that's a very interesting example. Thank you very much. I will look at this. Bingo. All right. Again, what do you think of the correct answers? So this text, which is about US labor market and the changes it had after the during and after the war. I understand that for a bigger passage, we need a little bit more time. Okay, so I see the first answer from Anastasia and Svetlana. Let's wait for some other people. Okay. I guess here this is okay. your autocorrection likes this letter for some reason. Right, thank you, Maria. Yes, Olga. Yeah. Wow. So in with this passage, yeah, I see a unanimous answer D. Everybody agrees on the same answer here. So let's comment a little bit. Obviously, all the options here are period of 1942 and 1952, this 10-year period of time, or rather two times and their comparison. So answer A would be incorrect because we know that the employment of women decreased, but we do not know the reason. Nothing in the text points that. We only know that there were some shifts in the post-war labor market. Discrimination is not there at all. The same goes about option B. Again, we know that women were less employed, but we do not know what caused that discrimination or the decreased job qualifications. The text doesn't point out. Option C may seem, may attract our attention because, it's very tempting to conclude that because of the sentence said there that women started working because they were filling up the places of soldiers who had gone to war, and we attempted to conclude that when took their jobs back, but again, we know from the passage that in the 10 years between 1942 and 1952, the labor market, the labor forces were shifting, and we do not know if the cause of women not working so much in such big numbers was due to men taking up their jobs. And this leaves us with option D, and everybody arrived at this conclusion quite more women worked outside the home in 1942 than 10 years later. That's the very, very logical, the most direct conclusion from this passage. Okay, yeah, here's the passage that we should have been concentrated on. One more. This is about meteorites in Mexico and scientists. Right, I will try to move it a little bit. Yes, like that. Right, so I would ask you again to write your answers in the chat, and if you would also add some comment about why you choose this one. What evidence from the text suggests this? And directs you to this choice. Okay, I see some answers appearing there. Great. Yes, 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 yes. All right, another agreement. Okay, right. Well, let me again comment on the options. Maria writes that they first found out about the impact judging from the traces of elements in the air. Irina comments on the worldwide layer for some reason. Yeah, and only then did they. Okay, so I see answers appearing. Well, looking at option, so the question asks about what can be inferred from the location of the meteorite impact. The first option states that the location of the impact site in Mexico was kept secret by geologists from 1980 to 1990, but there is no mention in the text about any secret information from the text, and this makes option A incorrect. Option B, it says that it was a well-known fact that the impact had occurred in Yucatan region, but we see from the text that the scientists did not discover Yucatan as the location until later. We see the information about the discovery of location only in the last part of the passage. It means that the location was not well known. Option says that the Yucatan region was chosen as the most probable impact site because of its climate, but the climate was not meant as a factor in the discovery. And of course, this leaves us with option C, because we see from the text that first scientists identified the impact in 1980, and only 10 years later, they were able to locate the impact site itself in the Yucatan region of Mexico. So well done, everybody, about speaking to us about the how we can identify this answer. All right, so that is all about reading and different types of questions. As I said in the beginning, I concentrated mostly on the inference questions as the most difficult, probably, to deal with the texts, and I hope I provided some strategies for you, but I guess some people already have the to a very good effect. Okay, now we proceed to grammar. It won't be only grammar, but syntax also. And I've decided to concentrate on the mistakes and identifying of different kinds of mistakes in text and sentences. We for a couple of years now, we have been using sentence correction questions. I think this information should be useful. And let's start with some mistakes which are commonly made by people. And we start with like C1, C2 level mistakes that people usually make. Yeah. What do you think are the most common mistakes at higher levels? What kind of mistakes do you notice in your own writings or your own participation in different kinds of events? What kind of mistakes do you find in your students' work? Use of participle. Okay, I will also put it on the screen. Okay, maybe I can. Yes, I can do that. That's great. So here I put it here. Нет, так не работает. Okay, participle. Constructions. Constructions. Yeah. Right. Okay, maybe I won't write it. It takes too long. Right. Yeah. So participles, infinitives, prepositions, specific prepositions. Yeah. Dependent sequence of tenses. Right. Anything else? Well, yes, that's vocabulary, of course. Yeah, we do make mistakes with vocabulary, especially phrasal verbs. Spelling, yeah, sure, of course. So, well, I think it's impossible not to make spelling mistakes in a foreign text. Gerund infinitive. Right, thank you, Irina. Right, sentence transformations. That would be the type of tasks, I think. Mistakes they do, well, during when they transform the sentences, they probably make mistakes in the subject verb agreement. Thanks, Anna. Subject, predicates, that's the same, Maria. You are in accordance with Anna. Right. Okay. So here's what one of the Cambridge experts wrote in her blog about the most common mistakes she encounters in writings of C1 and C2 content. One of them is the time frame errors. I think everybody saw that everywhere. Present perfect used in the past, or past tenses in the middle of a present tense paragraph, or the use of past perfect in the wrong place, the future seen from the past, and all sorts of that. All right. Okay. One more. It's a mistake with relative clauses. The wrong position, too far, for example, from the word which they identify. The mistakes connected with defining, non-defining relative clauses, the comma, the use of that, and which, etc. The use of relative pronouns, correct relative pronouns. And here in my presentation, which I'm very much hope to this webinar, I included a link for practicing this. Well, if we go along. Yeah, gerunds and infinitives, which were mentioned by you in the chart. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we know very well that you need to memorize all these verbs. Some of them take in infinitive, some of them take in the gerund, some of them take in both, with or without the change of meaning. People very often, as it mistakes when forming a negative infinitive, and again a link for practicing that. I don't stop on this for a long time because this is something you know. I just wanted to draw your attention. So here's a list of some other things, less common models. It's easy to remember the formation of things too. Yeah, thank you, Maria. Of course, to be or not to be, yes. But if it's a long infinitive like to have been, maybe some people forget where to put not. Yeah, so less common models. I think this is more about some equivalents to models. And of course, you may Google that information. Hypothetic conditionals and their equivalents, the equivalents of if, etc., etc. The mixed conditionals, people continue to have problems with them, I think, at all levels. Inversion, this is for higher levels, starting with B2. All these, if well, had he seen her before, he would have recognized her quicker. Different cases of inversion, different words that require inversion. Linking words can be a problem as well, and you have a link for that. And finally, ellipsis and substitution can present a problem and can be a source of mistakes, all kinds of mistakes. So this is like basic, well, not so basic, advanced grammar, of course, but this is something that you probably deal with even when preparing for them for our exams, because I think all of, well, maybe with the exclusion of ellipses and substitution, everything else is present in the list of grammar points for our state exam. Okay, so let's concentrate on something more difficult, a bit difficult. This is of a sentence. And here we have something that was mentioned by you, subject-verb agreement. For some reason, it presents a problem to many students and teachers as well. Then comes modifiers, parallelism, pronoun reference errors, diction, and redundancy. These are all the things that make our sentences not so good and can be times or maybe not a good use of English. So let's look at all of these in more detail. Well, the ever-present ever-present s at the end of a present simple verb can always be a problem, but even high-level students make this mistake, forget about this s. I play, he plays, that's what we have to look for. But there are, of course, for example, as the one presented here, not only the principal, but also the teachers playing. Is it is or are? And is it is or are in the second one? So, yeah. Are. Second is. All right. Are and is, yeah. Of course, yeah. Yes, I see the same answer. from everybody. So in the first sentence, not only the principal but also the teachers are plain. We should look at the nearest subject. We have two subjects, and the nearest dictates the choice of the verb form. But in the second sentence, the information about the other teachers is used with the commas on both ends. Some extra information, and we should agree our verb with the furthest standing subject, the principal, which is in singular. So the principal as well as the teachers is plain. So this is the subject-verb agreement in, well, the simpler version of it and the more complicated one. Of course, you know all different rules about all this and something else, and that information, of course, should help. But again, the problem with the subject-verb agreement can be quite easily missed. Here we have modifiers. Modifiers can be expressed by different means. For example, they can be adjectives or adverbs. That, well, adjectives would modify nouns or pronouns. Adverbs would modify verbs, also modify other adverbs and adjectives. And here's a sentence for you. Could you please find what is the problem? And maybe try to correct this sentence. So what is the problem with the modifier? Which modifier, by the way? And how can we correct the sentence? Right. What stands too far away from the word it refers to? What exactly is our modifier? Which modifier, Maria? Right, yeah, so chic and smart is our culprit, our modifier, which refer, yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Svetlana, Maria, and Victoria. So yes, indeed, chic and smart is the problematic modifier, and it actually refers to the model's clothes, but it stands close to the travel agency. And by its position in the sentence, the reader of the sentence is confused. How can we change the sentence? Indeed, Svetlana, it refers. Let's change the sentence. Let's make it more English. Put in the end what? Right. Yes, thank you very much, Maria. Yes, that's exactly what we can do. I didn't put this on the presentation for some reason. Yeah, we can say that the travel agency could not help admiring the model's chic and smart clothes and use of the modifier. Here's our next one. So participles can also be modifiers. They can modify nouns. And I would ask you to identify the problem with this sentence. Again, so point to the incorrectly used modifier, please. What's the problem? And how can we correct? How can we improve the situation? When I was walking. The first part refers to I. As I was walking, right? Okay, on my walking. Yes, exactly. Yeah, this is not a mistake that is okay. I can see mention of Chekhov is very good example. Yes, of course, these are not mistakes that are only common to the English language, to the use of English language. They're universal for any language and can be found in our Russian language as well. Right, yeah. So the main problem here is, of course, that it's not specified in the sentence who is walking down the road. We as logical, it's definitely not the hat, but the sentence still puzzles us. And what we can do is specify the subject. Yeah, so walking, it's not the hat was walking. We can say that while, for example, while walking down the road, my hat flew off. Or as somebody wrote here, I'm sorry. Oh dear. Okay, walking down the road, I got my hat fly off. No, I think that's flown off. Not the wind blew off the hat, so we can't use this here. I very much like Tatiana's version. As I was walking down the road, my hat flew off. Or yeah, that I think that would be the best one. All right. Travel agency. Yes. Okay. Let's go one. Yeah. Here are some more examples. Your corrections, please. The first sentence. She picked up the scarf and tied it to her friend. Yeah, a scarf. Why? Scarf, which was gifted. Right. So the problem is with the scarf. We can say yes. Yeah, exactly. We can use we need to the relative clause closer to the word that it defines. And Irina gives us a good version. She picked up the scarf, which was gifted by her friend, and tied it around her head. Exactly. Yes, that would be very, very correct version. Okay, the boy. Yeah, the problem, as I said, the problem with sentence one is that the relative clause is two of this clause. Now the boy. This is the same kind of problem. Again, a relative clause, and it's not clear what is the subject of it. So, of course, it was the boy who broke his leg, and he was riding the elephant. The boy who broke his leg was riding the elephant. All right. Number three, what about the chicken? Be eaten. Exactly. Yes, chicken is ready to be eaten. Right, yes. So the problem here is, it's actually a mistake with the use of a passive voice. Yes, but it's again also a logical mistake because from the sentence, it's not clear who eats the chicken. Or maybe the chicken was ready to be eaten. Yes. Number four. I listened. Yes, the word almost is incorrectly positioned. Right, and as Victoria writes, it is clear that we can interpret the sentence in two different ways. I almost finished listening, but actually the word whole kind of indicates that almost should go there. I listened to almost the whole album. Yes, this is the correct way to interpret this. All right, let's go on to number 5. We read that Janet was married in, why in his? I'm not, why in his? In her last letter. We read in her last letter, in his last, okay. Well, here the problem can be solved. Okay, Irina's version is good. We read in Janet's letter that she was married. We can say that, yes. Or we can put the modifier in her last letter of the sentence with a comma after it, and the resulting sentence would be, in her last letter, we read that Janet was married, and that also will solve the problem and we'll understand the meaning better. And finally, number 6. She decided, exactly, yeah, she decided. She was pleased and she decided. She decided to honor them. Yeah, that will again make the sentence much better. All right, thank you very much for your very productive work. Let's look at the next type, parallelism. Well, parallelism in a sentence, we see it if the sentence expresses more than one idea, which are similar to each other. And of course, here, in a sentence, we need to present them in parallel constructions. They should be in the same grammatical form. And here is again a sentence for you. What are the two ideas? Yes, right. So thank you. I see answers from Maria again, and Yelena, and Victoria, and Anna. Thank you very much for being so active. Here we are. So this mystical he, mysterious he, desired to do two things, to make a lot of money and earn good reputation. And these two things should be presented in similar way. If we start with infinitive, the second idea should also be presented as an infinitive. And the correct would be, he desired to make a lot of money and earn a good reputation. Yeah, pronoun reference. Yeah. Well, if any of you prepare for the state exam, or prepare for the state exam, or if you, for example, an expert and check the writings in the state exam, this is a very often logical error, pronoun reference, when we don't, they recognized each other, but who recognized whom? That's the question. So in this sentence, we have a minister and the manager who met, and some he is mentioned, and we know who this he refers to, whether this is the minister or the manager. And this is the problematic pronoun with the dual reference. And of course, in this form, sentence is not correct at all. So it can be actually, if we have no other information, we can understand it. we can't delete he. It will make the second part of the sentence not a sentence. So here are the two versions. We can say that the minister met the manager who recognized him. It means that when he met him, or the minister met the manager and recognized him. And in this sentence, it's the minister who does the recognizing part, right? So, of course, this mistake is very, very crucial because it stops communication. It presents a difficulty for understanding the text, and this is something we need to avoid at all cost. And of course, this is something we need to support in our students' texts and obviously in our own, and also try to teach them to not to make such mistakes at all. Okay, diction. Diction, it's an incorrect choice of words, which makes the sentences erroneous, which is a mistake. And sadly, the only way to avoid such mistakes is to know your vocabulary well. But if you know your vocabulary well, you will, of course, be able to spot the mistakes in text sentences and other kinds of writing that you see. And redundancy. Redundancy means needless repetition of a fact or an idea. For example, we shall combine the 3 departments into one. What do you think is the mistake here? Into one, right. And why is it a mistake? Obviously, if we combine several things into, combine means to make one of many, and already implies that there will be one thing as a result, and consequently, into one is not correct. We should say we shall combine the 3 departments, and the situation will be clear from that. The use of into one is redundant, not needed at all. Okay, and here's more correction practice for you. This time you are presented with a sentence. Well, or maybe it's not correct, maybe it is correct. Please try to choose the correct option, and maybe say why you think it is correct. What is the problem in the original one? The president. Yeah. All right, but we also have is in E. Right, of course. So the subject of this sentence is the president of Costa Rica. The information about 2 vice presidents is in commas. It is extra. It's not the subject. That's why the subject and verb agreement. 4 year indicates the duration for 1 term. Yes, you're right. Yes, and we choose option C because it has the correct agreement of verb and the subject, and we can't use option E, where we also find is, because there is no article in front of 4 year because there is terms, yeah, in the plural, and this is not for year, is an adjective in front of term. Thank you. Yes. All right. And one more question. Yeah. New Caledonia and New Caledonia crested gecko. I see some answers already. Okay. Everybody agrees so far. Great. Can you say maybe what is the problem and what kind of problem is found here? Exactly. So thank you very much, Irina. The problem that we find here is the problem with the modifier, and the word extinct refers to the New Caledonia crested gecko. And thank you, Maria. And to correct the sentence, we need to put together the modify the gecko, and option E gives us this chance. And as Maria mentioned, it would be too cruel to think that the team is extinct. Thank you very much for that comment, Maria. Well, that is, yeah, this is the correct answer. Modifier reference is the problem. And that is all that I have for you for today. The presentation. I will send the presentation to the organizers so that they put it on the site, and you will have access to all the links that I've included. As I've said, I talked today about first the different kinds of questions, about texts that we read, reading comprehension questions. We stopped a little more at reference questions. And we also looked at different kinds of mistakes, both on grammar and syntax level, and practiced some sentence correction questions. Thank you very, very much. It's really inspiring that so many people come to these webinars. I very much hope that what I was talking today will help you not only in dealing with the questions but in your usual day-to-day work. Thank you for participation, especially Maria, Anna, Irina, so somebody else. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention somebody, but people who participated, they really, really helped a lot. Not only me in conducting the webinar, but other people also, I think. I think you will see me again be commenting on the answers to the Olympiad tasks. I don't remember exactly when it will happen, but I think the organizers will remind me later by email or something. Thank you very much for the kind words that you're writing. I wish you all great luck and success in the Olympiad and the victory. Thanks. See you. Yes. And with this, I say goodbye to all the 55 people who were present here. You made my day. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Victoria. and goodbye.